On problem number 9, we have the equation of line L is negative 6x plus 9y equal to negative 5. The equation of line Q is negative 6x minus 6y is equal to negative 5. Which statement about the two lines is true? So we're looking for a true statement. First, it says the lines are perpendicular. To determine if the lines are perpendicular, we need to find the slope, because perpendicular lines have the opposite reciprocal slope. So it needs to be one of them negative, the other one positive, and the reciprocal. So we need to find the slope. To find the slope, it's a very quick process. We're going to do it here on the left hand side. To find the slope, I'm just going to move my negative 6x, I'm going to move it to the right, becomes a positive. Therefore, I have 9y is equal to 6x minus 5. And I need to leave the y by itself, so I'm going to divide by 9, divide by 9, divide by 9. That will cancel. This is your slope. Remember, once we have into y is equal to mx plus b, the slope is right next to the x, the coefficient for the x. But it must be on this format. To find the slope on the second one, we're going to go through the same process. I'm going to place into slope-intercept form. I'm going to move the negative 6x to the right, becomes a positive. So we have negative 6y equal to 6x minus 5. I need to solve for y. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. That cancels. So this is my slope. Do you have the opposite reciprocal? One of them is positive, the other one's negative, but it's not flipped. It's not the reciprocal. If they were reciprocal, this will be 9 over 6. So no, they're not perpendicular. We can analyze, since we have the slope, whether they're parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope. Parallel lines have exactly the same slope. So do they have the same slope? No. Now, we need to determine if they have the same x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, we're going to let y equal to 0. So let's go and plug in a 0 for both y's. I'm going to do the first one over here. We have negative 6x plus 9y equal to negative 5. If I plug in a 0, this cancels out. That gives you 0. So I have negative 6x is equal to negative 5. I'm going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. That cancels. This is the x-intercept for the first one. Two negatives will become a positive. And I'm going to do the next one. Let's do it down here. Negative 6x minus 6y equal to negative 5. Instead of the y, I'm going to replace it with a 0. Because I know that the x-intercept, the y value is 0. That will cancel out. Negative 6x equal to negative 5. Divide by negative 6. And do they have the same x-intercept? Yes. And to find the y-intercept, you can do it two different ways. You can let x equal to 0. Or once you have it into slope-intercept form, you can, if you remember, the plus b represents your y-intercept. And as you guys can see, they do not have the same y-intercept. So your answer is B. Problem number 10. On problem number 10, it says, if x equal to the square root of negative 1, if I is equal to the square root of negative 1, what is the value of I to the length? Now the definition that they have here is fine, but remember the definition that we learned is that if we square both sides, we have I squared is equal to negative 1. This is the definition that we want to use. And if I square it once again, I end up with I to the fourth is equal to positive 1. So those two are the definitions that we are going to be using. But it does come from here. Because once we square it, that becomes I squared. The square and the square cancel, so I just end up with negative 1. If you square it once again, that gives you I to the fourth. If you square this, that gives you positive 1. We have I to the 11th. You have to think, okay, how many I to the fourth are in I to the 11th? How many I to the fourth I are in I to the 11th? So we have 2, right? That's 4, that's 8. How many do we have left? We have left 3 of them. We're going to group them first by 2, and then we have 1 more left over. We know that I to the fourth is 1. I to the fourth is 1. I to the second power is negative 1. And then we just have I. Remember that the I is not equal to negative 1. We need an I squared for it to be equal to negative 1. This gives us 1 times negative 1 is negative 1 times I is negative 1I, or just negative I. So your answer is D. Problem number 11. Graph the following equation. The graph of the following equation is shown below. It says, how does the graph of f of x equal to 3, x plus 1 squared minus 1 compares to this graph, which corresponds to this equation? So we need to be able to analyze both. First, it says g of x, and this should be g of x. I apologize for that. It says g of x is wider. How do we know if it's wide or narrow? Let's assume that the vertex is 0, 0. This slope is 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. The g of x, I'm going to do it in red, the slope is 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I can repeat it again, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So is g of x wider? Yes, as you guys can see. Let's continue with the other options. Is g of x, is the red one narrower? No. Has it been shifted up? So let's go and look at the vertex. The vertex for this is given to you, which is negative 1, negative 1, which is down here. The vertex for this one is negative 1, negative 1. So was it shifted? No. The vertex is exactly in the same location for both. Did it shift to the right? No, they're exactly on the same location. So you have to go through some example or answer by answer to see which one is correct. In this case, one of them is wider than the other because they have different a values. If the a value is the same, then you can think about whether it's shifting to the right or up. Let's continue to problem number 12. It says, Justina correctly solved the equation x squared minus 4x equal to negative 2 by completing the square. Which equation is part of her solution? By completing the square, remember that we need to be able to move the x's to the left, the number on the right. In this case, it's already done for you. So let's write it down. X squared minus 4x. I'm going to leave some space. And I'm going to add a number on both sides to complete the square. The negative 2 is already moved for you. So don't worry about it. It's already done. I need to find a number to complete the square. I'm going to use the formula b over 2. I'm going to take b, I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to square it. Take b, take half, and then square it. b is negative 4, take half is negative 2, and then you square it is positive 4. And what you do on one side, you need to do to the other side. From here, I'm going to factor it. So I'm going to do my double parenthesis equal to 2. Factors of x squared are x and x. Factors of positive 4, negative 2 and negative 2. Now combine it into 1, so it'll be x minus 2 squared is equal to 2. Now, if you notice, which is power of her solution? We found the power of the solution that matches. So in this case, it will be D. Be very careful because a lot of the answers will look very similar.